The animation technique. Animation was discovered and used about a century back. It was used as a form of entertainment. Flipbooks were and still are a recognisable concept used to create animation at home. Throughout a number of centuries, devices were invented and reapplied to project drawings or photos, aka animation, to large groups of audiences. There are now different techniques used to primarily do the same task, only using different mediums. The first thing that is vital in animation is observation of movement. Spend your lunchtime going to a local cafe to observe people, their reactions, expression, the way they walk, their mass, their features. Observe what drives them, how their masses react against gravity. The way you animate will depend on the object or the thing that you're animating, its size, the speed, its age if it's a living thing. To animate, you would need light, a transparent surface, stacks of paper, a clip, and a drawing tool. To animate in a professional environment, and if you are serious and want to do an animation, I would recommend investing in a light box. The reason for a transparent surface to draw on is so that light could travel through it. To animate, you need light to travel through your paper from underneath to see the drawings on every page. It's very important to know what you're animating because it will determine where you draw the next drawing. It predetermines time and therefore speed. A clip is for holding the paper together and to flip the drawings more easily. There are 3 main drawings that are used to create basic movement. 4 if you are animating a long shot with numerous movements. A movement is built of, firstly, extremes, known as keyframes, breakdowns, and then in-betweens. If there is a number of movements going on in the shot, meaning the character would perform different movements one after the other, then keys are the 4th type of drawing that builds the animation. Keys and extremes primarily have the same function. Both are like telling a story of what happens and where we need to plot down the drawings on the paper. Keys would be plotted first, extremes are plotted later. They are the drawings that explain the most prominent action, the start and the ending. Breakdowns are plotted halfway through 2 extreme drawings and will explain how the object or whatever you are animating will perform the movement. Lastly, in-betweens mend, hold, and join the extremes and breakdowns together. Over my time with Krafty, I applied the 2D technique using a light box to animate wind, which travelled through London. I studied animation for a year now, and 2 of my practices that I did to understand the principle of animation was animating bouncing balls, and the other was animating a flag waving. I think that the 2 practices helped me to animate a sequence of wind. One difficulty was that you can't see wind, therefore I had no observation of it, as you can imagine. To get wind from point A to point B, this diagram shows how I built it. The first extreme is represented by K1. On the next paper I drew where I wanted the wind to travel to, which is represented by K2. I drew a drawing in between the 2 extreme positions, which is a breakdown, and is represented by B on the diagram. I then added 2 in-betweens between each drawing I had already made, represented by the 2 letters I. One thing you need to remember is that most actions travel in arcs. I used a clip to hold the drawings together. To see the movement, put each of your fingers in between each paper and flick back and forth. Clip the drawings to create a flipbook and voila!